In this video, we are going to look at the upcycle process. This process consists of the following steps. First, we will create a data source to the legacy application. After this, we will use the ThinkWise extractor to extract both the model and the data of the legacy application. The extracted model will be imported into the ThinkWise upcycler. The ThinkWise upcycler will transform this model into a model in the ThinkWise software factory. When the application is deployed, the ThinkWise upcycler will import the extracted data into the new application. And of course, we will take a look at the result of the upcycle process. For demo purposes, we use the Microsoft demo application, the Adventureworks. To extract the model and the data from your legacy application, the first thing you have to do is to create an Rdbc data source connection. And I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to press Add. In this case, I'm going to choose for Rdbc driver 17 for SQL Server. Press Finish. I'm giving it a name. I'm going to fill out the description. I'm going to choose the server. Next, I'm going to use integrated authentication. And important here is to change the default database into the database you want to upcycle. I'm going for the Adventureworks 2019. I'm pressing Next and Finish. And I'm going to test the data source, and it's successful. All right. So here I have my 64-bit Rdbc data connection. First of all, I want to extract the model. To do this, I created a batch file, and in this batch file, I made a call to the upcycle.exe and added some parameters. The first parameter is schema. This means that the schema is being extracted. The second one is the Rdbc parameter. And after this one, I added the DSN, the SQL Server I just created. Then we have the parameter extractor. And in this parameter, you fill in the path to the scripts which the extractor uses to extract the model. And then we have the output file, and in this file, the model is being written. And now I can just start this batch file. Now it's finished. And the result here is a file called schema.json. And when we look at it, we see here all the information about the model of the legacy system. Let's go back to the batch file. In my command, I used our DSN, SQL Server, but you can also use a connection string. I'm going to show you how that works. There's not much difference. The only real difference is instead of the DSN I use here, I'm going to remove that one and add a connection string. And here is the connection string to my database. And all the other parameters are exactly the same. So I'm going to save it. And I'm going to extract the model again. Now, the extractor tells me that I already have a file, schema.json, and asks me if I want to override it, and I say yes. And here the model is extracted again. So you can choose whether you use a DSN or a connection string. The next step is to extract the data from the Adventureworks database. For this, I created another batch file. In this batch file, the upcycle application is executed again, but this time not with schema, but with data. The other parameters are Rdbc, it's the same as in the other batch file, the extractor, and In the end, we find the output directory. When the extraction is ready, for every table a data file is created. Now I'm going to start the extraction of the data. Now the extraction is finished. The extractor created a folder data. In this folder, for every table a file is created, and inside the file there is the data of the table in JSON format. For example, the product table. Let's head to the ThinkWise Upcycler. Now that we have extracted the model and the data, it's time to create an application in the Upcycler. Let's fill in the name of the application. We have to fill in a source technology. In this case, the source database is SQL Server. Description. The model file type is JSON. The data file type extension is JSON. The encoding of the file is UTF-8 BOM. The data folder must be a folder which can be accessed by Indicium. In my case, then the target project in the software factory will be Adventureworks 2019, project version 1.0, the language English, the project folder server, the software factory in which the project will be created, the server name, and the name of the database. And now we can press save. The last step in applications is to add the source model to this application. To do this, you have to start the task import source model. Here, go to the folder where you saved the schema.json file. Press open, execute. And here you can see a small part of the model that is imported. Now, let's start an Upcycle run. I open the Upcycle run screen. On the left side, we see the application, and I'm going to start the run. Execute Upcycle run. Yes. In our software factory, we now have a new project, Adventureworks 2019. When I go to the data model, you'll see a lot of new diagrams. Every table has two diagrams, one with all the detail tables and one with all the foreign key tables. Here I have two diagrams for the table product, one with all the detail tables and one with all the foreign key tables. Let's take a look at the diagram itself. Here I see the product table, and all the other tables are the detail tables of product. And when I go to the other diagram with the foreign key tables, it looks like this. Let's take a look at the code. A lot of code has been imported. Here, for example, I have the trigger for person. And here is the code that is extracted from the legacy application. Now let's deploy the application. First, I'm going to generate a definition. After this, I'm going to validate the definition. It is expected that we get some errors. I only have errors in the data model. Let's take a look. Alright, I have one table, product address, that has no primary key. I'm going to ignore that error for now, but in the future I will have to fix this problem. I'm going to generate a source code. Now this is done, and I'm going to execute the source code. First, I make connection to the server, and I'm going to execute the selected code files. Okay, generation is done. Now it's time to start up the application. Here we see the upcycled Adventureworks application. On the left side we see the menu group tables, and this menu group contains all tables of the application. I'm going to open a few screens. Employee, for example, on the top side of the screen we see a list, on the bottom side we see the form, and here we see some detailed tab pages that you can open as well. Let's open another screen, products. Again, on the top side we have the list, on the bottom side we have the form of product, and here we see a lot of details of the product table. In the application there is no data yet. That's because we didn't import the data of the legacy application. That's the next step we're going to do. In the ThinkWise Upcycler, we now go to Data Import Runs. On the left side of the screen we have selected our application, and now we're going to start the task Execute Data Import. The data import process is now finished. Let's go to the Adventureworks application. Let's refresh the screen. And here we can see the data. And in the product screen, we also do a refresh here. And also the details are visible in the product screen. Of course, the Adventureworks application is also available in the Universal GUI. I'm going to open the employee screen and the product screen to show the result. With this result, you have a great starting point to further develop your application. Maybe you want to do some data model changes. The GUI model can be filled with new screen types, themes or translations, and subject-specific configurations. And of course, the business logic has to be added or improved.